So this passage of the body keeps the score that I'm about to read to you is hitting me so hard that I might literally have to go and journal about it or something. I'm gonna read it to you. Holy shit. Coping takes its toll. For many children, it is safer to hate themselves than to risk their relationship with their caregivers by expressing anger or running away. As a result, abused children are likely to grow up believing that they are fundamentally unlovable. That was the only way their young minds could explain why they were treated so badly. They survive by denying, ignoring, and splitting off large chunks of reality. They forget the abuse, they suppress their rage or despair, they numb their physical sensations. If you were abused as a child, you are likely to have a childlike part living inside you that is frozen in time, still holding fast to this kind of self-loathing and denial. Many adults who survive terrible experiences are caught in the same trap. Pushing away intense feelings can be highly adaptive in the short run. It may help you preserve your dignity and independence. It may help you maintain focus on critical tasks, like saving a comrade, taking care of your kids, or rebuilding your house. The problems come later. After seeing a friend blown up, a soldier may return to civilian life and try to put the experience out of his mind. A protective part of him knows how to be competent at his job and how to get along with colleagues, but he may habitually erupt in rage at his girlfriend or become numb and frozen when the pleasure of surrendering to her touch makes him feel like he is losing control. He probably will not be aware that his mind automatically associates passive surrender with the paralysis he felt when his friend was killed. So another protective part steps in to create a diversion. He gets angry, and having no idea what set him off, he thinks he's mad about something his girlfriend did. Of course, if he keeps blowing up at her and subsequent girlfriends, he will become more and more isolated, but he may never realize that a traumatized part is triggered by passivity, and that another part, an angry manager, is stepping in to protect that vulnerable part. Helping these parts to give up their extreme beliefs is how therapy can save people's lives. I mean, that first paragraph is more than enough of a big oof moment, but that second paragraph, it just helps you understand the people in your lives that have been so angry and that have blown up. And it's not rational and you don't know why. It makes me think of my dad. Full disclosure. And it makes me just understand it a little bit more, you know? I think I understand it pretty well now. I think it's obviously not personal. It never was. And I'm sure it's not what he would have chosen or wanted to do. It's just something that he kind of lost control for whatever traumas and reasons. You know those memes that are like everybody gangsta until, where it's like basically you're cool and collected until blah 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 happens or blah 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 confronts you, right? This is probably a terrible way of introducing this. But it's like you can be traumatized and succeed in school, succeed at work, succeed in house chores, blah, 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 blah. Like, I used to do all the works. I used to do the work and the school at the same time, you know? But it's like everybody gangsta until they get into a romantic relationship. That's probably the biggest one. Because what happens? Intimacy, exposure, unconditional love, love in general, triggers, like attachment styles. You might not even know how fucked up you are until you get into a romantic relationship. That's what happened to me. Okay, I thought I was like really doing good on my awakening path until I got into a relationship with Keegan, and wow, I did not know what I was in for as far as facing all of the trauma that still was not faced. Excuse the sound of shit and drinking water. The funny part of it is, when I was in an abusive relationship in my late teens to 21, you would think that that would be the thing that would bring up all your trauma and stuff. But in fact, how could it? Because it's normal. It's not challenging you with anything new. It's so, like, I don't know if ironic is the right word, or surprising, or just the opposite of what you would think, whatever. When you get with a partner who is actually overall, no one's perfect, of course, but overall healthy and loves you genuinely and unconditionally, that's when all the traumas come out, because it's the light of higher consciousness, the light of unconditional love is being shined on them and exposing them. And it might be the first time in your life that's happened. And so I think sometimes if you're not mindful, and if you don't study the things that I study and do the healing work for yourself, you can easily come to the conclusion that the problem is the relationship or your partner. So easily. But don't fall into that trap. I feel like that would potentially be one of your biggest regrets ever if you fall into that trap. A counterintuitive was the word I was looking for before. It's counterintuitive, but it is the healthy relationship with the unconditionally loving partner who treats you with nothing but respect that brings up all your trauma, not the toxic relationship or the abusive relationship. At least that is what my experience was, because in my abusive relationship, all the focus was on not setting off the other person and just getting through life. And of course, I was beyond distracted and preoccupied with school and work and all these things that don't actually matter. Meanwhile, there's so much chaos. This is the thing one of the things I hate most about society, besides the unethicalness of it and the non-veganness of it and the oppression of different groups of people. Aside from that, the thing I hate most about society, the way it is set up, is how we are so preoccupied with jobs and school and those kinds of accomplishments. And meanwhile, the richest, prettiest celebrity in the world with all the fame can be way more miserable than anybody. And it's like, we prioritize shit that doesn't matter. We don't prioritize what does, which is how you feel. Because what is there besides that? And our love and connections with others. Because again, what is there besides that? And the way we are actually spending our finite time in this body, in this life. Because what is there besides that? That celebrity, famous person that has it all, they have nothing if they can't have a healthy romantic relationship, if they have nothing but toxicity and drama in their friends and family. If they can't even go one day being sober, they have to constantly turn to a substance to numb themselves or run away from how they feel. Like, what is the result of society operating like this? The result is someone having a career where they serve, and then the whole time they're like a raging alcoholic, but they're a functioning alcoholic, so it's fine. And then they die of cirrhosis at a young age. What a waste. And what is behind all addictions, all forms of escapism? What is behind what is behind basically anything bad, and the human experience of how we behave and treat each other and whatever is generally trauma. Yet we never talk about it. We barely even validate it. We spend most of our time invalidating it. The strongest thing you could ever do is be vulnerable and heal your traumas. Face them. Also, real quick, I listened yesterday to the latest Moonstone Witchery podcast. I love that lady. And my 2 takeaways were, when you're triggered out by something that someone did, and you'll never know like why someone did something they did, but when you're triggered by it, your trigger is going to fill in the blanks of why they did it. Let that sit with you for a minute. Also, I feel I've been told a majority of my life that if someone says something to somebody and they get extra upset and angry and triggered by it, then that means that that person thinks what they said about them is true, or they agree that it is true, or it is true, and so that's why they're having such a strong reaction. Now, I don't think that that is never the case or never possible, but in this podcast, she was talking about, like, her perspective was like, when you react really strongly to something someone says about you, or a thought that you think about yourself, such as, I'm a failure. When you react so strongly to that, it's because you know it's not true. So that was also a light bulb for me. So this is gonna be a little bit more of a somber little life chat here, but the day before yesterday, as I told you, I'm in slight contact with my dad, just kind of small talk, but he did let me know that the day before yesterday, my childhood dog Pepper was put down. I got this dog when I was 12 years old from my grandma, who was breeding dogs, which is really just an awful thing to do, breed dogs, breed animals, because every time you breed an animal, you're adding a new animal onto this earth, putting them in someone's home where that place could have been taken by a dog that already exists, that's now going to be put down in a shelter or neglected or starved or whatever. And then the other part of it is that people are so careless about their decisions to have animals. They never think about the full lifespan of the animal. They hardly never think about, like, is this animal in my home having a forever home or not? I mean, I've always had deep bonds with some of the animals that I've grown up with as a kid and teenager. My mom's ex, Kelly, had a dog named Tyler, who was like my first love as far as a companion animal, and I was very close with him. I lived with him from 3 years old to 10 years old, and when my mom and Kelly broke up, I had to say goodbye to Tyler, was the dog's name, and all the other dogs, I think 2 other dogs that we had at the time. And Kelly, of course, was always buying dogs from breeders and getting rid of them too, which is just one of the most terrible things you can do if you claim to be an animal lover. But it just sucks because, like, with that goodbye, and then with, of course, my aunt, you'll know more about this on my main animal rights channel. I have a whole playlist where I talk about the cruelty of the horse industry and all my experiences, but my aunt literally got rid of my horse after she insisted to keep him on her property. And I was in contact with her about getting him a new home. She insisted, no, it's fine, I'll keep him. And then I get a text like a month or 2 later, a text. Sorry, we had to give your horse away. We had to get rid of your horse. Never saw him again, never got to say goodbye. As far as I know, the lady he went to gave him to some other lady who's supposedly just keeping him as a pasture pet for the rest of his days. If that's true, then thank
goodness, because horses live to be almost 30 years old if nothing goes wrong, if they don't get fucking injured from their riding and abuse. That's another thing people don't think about, but I'm not going to go on that whole tangent. So that was another goodbye to an animal I was so close with that I had no choice and no say in. I didn't have any proof of, quote, ownership over him, so there's literally nothing I could do. And then again, when I had to, it wasn't so much that I had to move here, because if I kept a healthy relationship with my dad throughout these last 4+ years that I've lived here, then I would obviously be like visiting him and seeing Pepper when I visit him. I couldn't take Pepper here with my mom. In an apartment, she wouldn't be able to tolerate that, her or the dog. She definitely would have been happier where she was, but still, like, it just sucks because I would have never chosen to not speak to my dad for years. I had to do it because for my own safety, mental health, emotional health, protection. And so again, it's just like all these years missing out. Pepper lived to be 16, and it just sucks that so many of those years I couldn't be there for, and it would have never been my first choice. And again, like, I'm just tired of this life pattern from my past where there was so much abandonment of me and me abandoning these companion animals without having any choice or say in the matter. And yeah, it just sucks. Like, I just feel so passionate about rooting down to a stable home and just having a family that doesn't break apart, because my brother, I also haven't seen him since 2015. He doesn't speak to my mother, and as a result, he doesn't see me because I obviously live with my mother, and he barely talks to me. The only way I know that he's even alive and doing okay is if he likes something on my Instagram. People are so weird. People will like not talk to you, not wish you a happy birthday, not acknowledge your existence, not text you back, not answer your messages, but they'll like your fucking post on social media. It's so bizarre. Like, that's the case with my childhood best friend too. Like, I just don't get it. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, when you spiritually awaken, and God forbid if you become a crazy animal rights activist, which I don't get. Like, do these people really think I'm gonna just directly yell in their face about eating meat? Like, no, in reality, you see my social media posts. If that doesn't do anything, I can't do anything. So if you dare to spend time with me, I'm not gonna be using that time talking about animal rights. Like, I don't know what people think. But again, I can't make assumptions and I can't take things personally. The 4 agreements, right? I have no idea why all these people don't want to be in my life, but it's like, when you change so much, it's like impossible to keep relating to some people from your past. And maybe that's a good thing, and maybe it's still a blessing, but man, it kind of sucks because you still miss them. Even the people that are cruel to you, you still know that love for their real soul selves underneath the ego and underneath the fear and the, you know, all the cycles of abuse and whatnot. You still have so much love for them, and so you still miss them, you know, and you still, yeah, it's just one of the most confusing things about my life is this whole topic. Like, I just don't get how people, such as like a parent, can just casually be okay with not speaking to their kid. Like, it's just like, your priorities have to be messed up. You're probably not sober, you know. It's just, does anyone ever stop and ask questions about like what's important and what matters in life? Is everyone so afraid to have like a heart-to-heart conversation, you know? It's just, wow. But that's the past. I create my own reality. I have new beliefs about life, and I can make sure that none of these abandonments happen again. Like, at least the ones that I had no choice or say in the matter, you know, when it comes to like leaving behind animals, I can literally make sure that never happens again. And that's just a nice feeling to have, to know that I'm just, I don't know if in control is the right word, but I just have say in my life now. And I didn't for the whole time before this. Yeah. If you're not familiar with my life story and you're curious to learn more, I have a video titled From Abuse to Spiritual Awakening. It's in my playlist where all of my other chats about mental health and life are. But even though I'm obviously grieving the fact that my childhood dog Pepper was put down and the lost years and just all the collateral damage that happens when you are forced to cut ties with someone because they're just not treating you anywhere near the way they should, I can still emphatically say that I've never been in a better place in my life, and I've never been happier and more at peace, and it does get better, and I have other chats about this. So it's like I've been through some things that could have led me to get hooked on some sort of substance, or to go down a bad path, or to just become exactly like the people that raised me. And I overcame it all, and I just hope that that is inspiring to someone out there to know that you can heal. Just nothing was, like, I had, like I said, no say over my own life. You know, my parents divorced at 3. I lived with my mom and her ex-girlfriend, Kelly. Kelly was very abusive, and to this day is still, wow, I just hope she heals. And when they broke up when I was 10, I went to go live with my dad in Colorado. And by the way, we moved to states every year, and my dad would follow us every time we moved until he stopped. And so I don't even have memory of this, but at some point he stopped following us and moved back to Colorado, where I'm from originally. And so then I lived without my dad, and then Mom and Kelly broke up, and then I was sent to go live with my dad in Colorado, and then my mom was still in New Jersey, and at one point she moved to Colorado for a very short time and then ended up moving back, and that was like really traumatic. And then so I lived without my mom from age 10 until 21, where life circumstances led me to, I was in Colorado, and life circumstances led me to come and live with my mom here in New Jersey, and I've been here ever since. But so there's been like a theme of abandonment and just unstableness, and so, but everything's been uphill literally since I came here and found stability for the first time and found the law of attraction and spirituality and all this stuff. And so it's all just about awakening and stopping these patterns and realizing how much power we actually have to create our lives, and that we're not just a victim to every circumstance and every person around us, and we can choose exactly how our relationships and circumstances are. Of course, with what we're given, we alchemize with what we are given. Everyone's given different life circumstances. I don't want to invalidate that, but we do all have the power to do something with it. We can always do something about it. And I've healed a lot, and yeah. And I just feel like life is only uphill from here. And again, like, one of my biggest goals while I'm building my art business and everything is to just root down. I have a stable, healthy relationship now. And who knows? Who knows? Like, maybe we'll rescue some animals. Maybe we'll adopt a kid. I don't fucking know, but whatever happens, I know that I have the ability to make sure that it's stable and not chaotic, and to not have just more abandonment happen anymore. You know, because I feel like abandonment happens when people get so desperate and they just like don't even know what else to do, and for whatever reasons are in their head. And it's a very shitty thing. It's a very hard thing to heal from, abandonment. But yeah, I feel like I can prevent, like I don't need to cause abandonment to any more companion animals, and I don't need abandonment to happen to me either. Like I now create my own reality without it, you know? So yeah. But I think one of the hardest things for me to process now is like whenever I have like blocked someone or cut off a relationship because they were just being so cruel to me and stuff, I have always like left an open vessel for that person to come back and be like, I'm sorry, I'm going to treat you with respect from now on, and let's like repair a relationship, and let's like, you know, have fun together again. But it always has puzzled me beyond like what I can put into words. Most of these people literally refuse to do that. It's like, it feels to me like I'm not as important enough of a human being for someone to take like just a wince little tiny bit of personal responsibility for how they've treated me, and like want to pursue a relationship with me again, a repaired one. And it's just puzzled me how like no one has wanted to do that out of the people that I have like walked away from. And of course I can't internalize that, and it's not personal, but it does suck. And it does puzzle you, you know, it does puzzle you. It's like, it really wouldn't be that hard for them. Like a simple apology and just change in behavior is not difficult to do. Like it really is not. And so it just puzzles me, like why people choose not to. Like ego? I don't know, like just familiarity, habit. It's crazy, yo. And then there's like fucking nostalgia, and then my tendency is to be the one to eventually break and reach out to that person first and take it all upon myself to repair the relationship. But then when I do, it's like so disappointing, because I find that, I mean, I don't have to get into it, but like, I don't know, but it's like, if I never do that, I'm never gonna like see him or hear from him again. So it's like, can I, quote, be the bigger person? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I don't know. Like, this is like my life mystery. But the most important thing is that, you know, whatever happens with me being in slight contact with my dad right now, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm not gonna have like a mental breakdown like in prior years. I'm not going to take it personally. Like, that's where you have to get to, this place of inner peace where, like, whatever, I'm just reaching out of curiosity and authenticity and honesty, and perhaps the other person's not capable of those things. Perhaps the other person's not even capable of intimacy, and you can't change other people for them. You can't heal for other people. You can't fix other people. And so all you can do is what you can do, and to just be at peace and be able to sleep at night, really.